Got it.
Hello and welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we've got a bit of a bonus episode for you. You will know that we normally just put out podcasts every 2 weeks, but something special has happened in the world of moving to New Zealand that we just could not hold back from.
So this is fantastic news from Immigration New Zealand about the Skilled Migrant Category. They are now opening up the borders again as from the 9th of October this year. Charlotte has got some great news about how to do it and what sort of points that you need to qualify to come over to New Zealand to be a skilled migrant.
Yeah, like Bryce said, there's just been a lot of changes, big announcements, and what better way to talk to you about this and explain it in such a clear way than someone who does this every single day as her job. So Charlotte is just fantastic. She's part of our private Slack community. You'll hear her talk about that Slack community quite a lot through the video. You know, she'll say things like, oh yeah, I'll put it on Slack. I'll tell it to the group. The reason she's saying that, just so you know, is because this video was originally recorded just for our private members. But this is such valuable information that we just needed to share it with the world. And so that's what you're hearing. So don't forget, if you are listening to this podcast for the first time and you don't know anything about this paid community or a Slack group, Brian and I we run and are part of a private community surrounded by like-minded adventurers like yourself who is making it their dream, making it happen to move to New Zealand, and are surrounding themselves with as many people with all the resources they need and the information they need and friendships and community as they make this mammoth move over to New Zealand. And within that community, we have the likes of Charlotte from NZ Immigration Services. We have Brett from Starwood Pet Travel. We've got Prudence from Accent Health. There are a lot of professionals within that community that are helping those who are moving. So that is a quick roundup of what that community is about. Now, if you'd like to know how to get into that community, we would like you to take our free, absolutely free, 5-day video guide. This is 5 days worth of videos where we share just a quick video every day, like 5 minutes of life in New Zealand. Is a really, really special, a little series that me and Brian made just to show you about what life is like here. You know, it's just, you want to know. You're at the other side of the world and you want to know what New Zealand is like. And that is the perfect way to do that. So like I say, it's absolutely free. You can go to www.nzahead.com/free to get to that free 5-day video guide. And then on day 5, you will be given the opportunity, you'll be given more details and the opportunity to join our private community. It's all there. I don't need to tell you anymore. On day 5, it comes into your inbox and all the information is there. And if you'd like to join that community and be amongst me and Brian and lots of other wonderful like-minded people, including Charlotte and like I just said, the other people, then just get to day 5 and then off you go.
And hey, Liz, you forgot to tell them about our Australian friends from TourFX. So if you're coming over here and you're thinking, how do I get my money over here? TourFX, wonderful people. Check out the description and you'll see a link to go to TourFX.
Yes. So without further ado, sit back and enjoy this little episode on what changes have been happening with Immigration New Zealand and how you can move forward to making your dream about moving to New Zealand a reality.
Got it.
Welcome to the NZ Ahead podcast. Everything you need to know about moving to and living in New Zealand.
There's a whole world here.
So nice to be with you again.
We call it Aotearoa around here, bro.
You'll be right.
We are your hosts, Liz and Brian.
Amazing New Zealand in the southern seas.
See, that's where I belong. That's home.
Good morning, Charlotte, and welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy to be here.
So, yeah, we've got Charlotte from New Zealand Shore's Immigration Advisors with us with a bit of a news flash, actually, because there's been a change in the...
Skilled migrant, Liz.
Skilled migrant. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, that's okay.
You saw me pause there.
The skilled migrant category.
Category, Brian.
I can't even speak on a Monday morning neither, yeah.
So we're so grateful that you've offered to just jump on here with a call with us and just fill us in what is happening in the immigration world. So yeah, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so big announcement a couple of weeks ago, I think about 10 days ago now. Immigration New Zealand, as proposed, have completely decided to revamp the skilled migrant category. So it's the biggest change we've probably seen in about 15 years in this space. Traditionally, the skilled migrant category has been the predominant pathway to residence for most skilled migrants. I would say probably 80 to 90% of my clients who get job offers in New Zealand have traditionally gone down this pathway. So it is a big change. It does affect a lot of people. We had seen skilled migrant be closed for basically 2.5 years after the border shut. They didn't process any applications. Pre-COVID, we had a points threshold of 160. When they reopened the category in November last year, we had one selection at 160 points, and then they pushed the threshold up to 180. And that's what we've had since, I think, December was the first selection we had at 180 points. So we're going into quite a different format now. We're going from 180 points to 6. So in the way those 6 points are claimed is a lot simplified compared to what it used to be. They've changed it to basically you have to be eligible under one of 3 options. So you can be eligible under your income. So if you're earning 1.5 times, 2 times, or 3 times the median wage, you can claim various points. Or you can be eligible under holding an occupational registration. So that's like a job where you have to have an occupational registration to do that job. Yeah. Or immigration have also added some additional roles in there that we haven't seen before on that occupational registration list. And basically points are allocated depending typically on how long it takes to train to do that role. So for example, a carpenter, they can claim 3 points if they obtain a registration as a licensed building practitioner. Whereas an accountant who becomes a chartered accountant in New Zealand can claim 6 points on the basis of their occupational registration. So yeah, there's quite a few different occupations in there. So if anyone's got questions later after you've listened to this and you're still confused, please feel free to reach out and I can try and clarify that for you. I will also pop a link in the Slack group so you can go and have a look and a bit of a play to see if your occupation is on that list, because it'll make a lot more sense doing it that way than me rambling about it. The third way you can be eligible is via a qualification. So bachelor's degree or higher. Bachelor's degree is worth 3 points, a master's is worth 5, or a PhD is worth 6. If you are someone who can claim 3 points perhaps on the basis of your income, or 3 points on the basis of your occupational registration, or 3 points on the basis of your qualification, you then have to work in New Zealand for a further 3 years to claim your total of 6 points. So 1 year work experience in New Zealand is 1 point, 2 years work experience in New Zealand is 2 points, and you get the picture. 3 years work experience in New Zealand is 3 points. Right. So you have to be able to prove a total of 6 points at time of application. So if you're someone who's done perhaps a PhD and that's recognised by immigration either through their policy or the New Zealand Qualifications Authority, you could apply for residence the minute you had a job offer. Or if you're a chartered accountant, you can claim 6 points through your occupational registration. You get a job, same thing applies. You can apply straight away. If you perhaps hold a master's degree, you then need to work, a master's degree is worth 5 points. You then need to work in New Zealand for 12 months to claim that extra point to claim 6. So in some ways it is a lot more simpler, but I think it will take time for everyone to get their heads around it. And are you eligible? Are you not eligible? Is your occupation perhaps been added to that registration list? So actually, perhaps it didn't used to be and now it is. So there is a few things for people to get their head around in that space. So yeah, I will also in the Slack group pop a really nice infographic that Immigration New Zealand have provided to us, because that will visually help people, I guess, understand. It breaks it down into what is worth X number of points, basically. And you should from there be able to figure out what your eligibility looks like moving forward. There are some things that haven't changed. So you still have to be under 56 to be able to apply for residence. You still have to have a job offer in New Zealand, which is an offer of skilled employment. And you just have to meet health and character concerns. So all of those things are still the same. It's just how you claim those points, which has changed.
Go on, Brian.
So say you mentioned carpenter, like tradies and stuff like that. So I know when I came over 15 years ago or 14 years ago, you had to have so many years experience in your own country, like over 10 years. and that added to the points, like to get you over that magical 160 odd or whatever it was. So what you're saying now, you can't come over as a skilled migrant straight off the bat. You've got to get a job first and then come and work here as such.
In most cases. So there's only a certain number of people who will be able to claim 6 points up front. So that is people with PhDs, people whose occupational registrations are worth 6 points, for which there aren't that many, to be honest.
Yeah.
Most are worth somewhere between 3 to 5. Or if your salary is 3 times the median wage, which at the moment on a yearly basis is about in the 180K bracket. So it is quite high. Yeah. So for the majority of people, they will now need to come and work in New Zealand for a period of time before being eligible. Immigration don't take into account what your work experience was offshore in terms of your eligibility anymore. So we can't claim points in that space. Right. It is purely based on those 3 things. But then there are other pathways to residency as well now. So there's the straight to residence category, which if you are on tier 1 of that green list, you can apply for residency immediately. There is also a couple of other options where if you've worked in New Zealand for 2 years, so there's tier 2 of the green list, the work to residence category. A funny thing we've actually seen though is that there are, so like an electrician, for example, they're a really good example. They can claim 4 points for their occupational registration under the skilled migrant category and then work in New Zealand for 2 years to claim their 6. But they're also on the green list under tier 2, so they can apply under the work to residence category after 2 years of working in New Zealand. So there will be some people who it will be a case of, what is your fastest pathway to residence? For example, if you're in like an ICT profession and your occupation's on tier 1 of that green list and you can apply for straight to residency, that would be your pathway rather than claiming perhaps 3 points for your bachelor's degree and then working in New Zealand for 3 years. So there will be a lot of, case by case basis as to what is going to be your fastest pathway to residency, basically.
This is going to be such good news to so many people because it has been just, no, you have to be either in the healthcare industry or you have to have a specialized job to get in. Can you just clarify, do they still need that offer when the job offer comes in? Does it still need to be from, I can't remember what the name is, but they have to be like registered, accredited, that's the word, yeah.
An accredited employer, yeah. So immigration is moving into every single employer who hires any kind of migrant, whether you're coming in on the accredited employer work visa or a working holiday visa, or even if you're the partner of a work visa holder, all employers will need to be accredited. The only people who won't be impacted by that is if your partner is on tier 1 of the green list. Those people still get full open work rights and can work for whoever they want, or if you're the partner of a New Zealand citizen. And so those are kind of the only 2 exceptions. So moving forward, so from October, when this policy comes in, October the 9th, I think it is, every employer will need to be accredited. So at the moment, if you're eligible under policy as is, and you can claim that 180 points to apply, you don't actually have to have employment with an accredited employer, but that's only with us till mid-August. And then we have a month stand down period before this new policy comes in.
All right.
So say I'm a little plumbing shop in New Plymouth and I can't get anyone to work for me and I just need to look overseas for that. How hard is it for me to become accredited as an employer?
Super straightforward. It's not document heavy. It takes us probably maybe half an hour to prepare the application. Immigration approve them within 5 to 10 days. So they're really, really quick.
Oh, that's good to know.
There used to be old accreditation, which a lot of employers still remember, and that was document heavy and you had to send off applications that were like 2 kgs worth of paper. We're not in that space anymore. So it's more about it's gone from employers wanting to hire a lot of migrants for accreditation to Immigration New Zealand using accreditation to basically stamp out migrant exploitation. Yeah. So when they grant accreditation, they check things like, have you adhered to employment law and immigration law in the past? So if you have a company who's perhaps been called out for either of those things, they won't be granted accreditation and they won't be allowed to hire migrants. So accreditation overall, I think, is a good thing. It is obviously another cost to employers. So if you want to hire up to 5 migrants, the immigration fee is $740. If you want to hire 5 plus, whatever, you could hire 5 or 1,000. It's about $1,400. So, but that is valid for 2 years. But ultimately, yeah, for migrants, it's a good thing.
Yeah. I don't think that's that bad, actually. I thought it would be more than that. That's not that bad, is it? To know that you're going to be able to hire people from, to do the job.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, a lot of employers are a bit grumpy about it because they don't want to have to spend the money. But I think for how long it's valid for, it's definitely not that bad. Yeah.
So why do you think New Zealand? Why has New Zealand done this? Why has all this big change happened?
It's all part of immigration's rebalancing act, is what they're calling it. So they first kind of talked about this during COVID. It was actually the Minister of Immigration stood up and made this big announcement. I think it must have been 2021, about how they wanted to rebalance the immigration system to ensure that they were attracting more highly skilled migrants, and ensuring that people didn't end up in a situation where they came to New Zealand, weren't eligible for residence, ended up quite settled here because they may have been on work visas for 10 years and, then almost felt entitled to be able to apply for residence because they've been here for so long. In some ways it's good. I mean, I think the policy in some ways is really good. In other ways, there are certain trades that will miss out on being able to apply for residence because they're not covered either by that green list, or they don't have an occupational registration, or they don't have a bachelor's degree. So a couple that we're seeing already quite impacted is the likes of like fitter turners, CNC machinists. They've got kind of at this stage no pathway to residency. I mean, that could change. So it's, obviously early days. We might have change of government at the end of year, which means there may be further policy changes in that space as they come in and make their own mark. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
As putting it, it's interesting, but we've just got to work with what we've got, basically.
And it's going to make you guys super busy now. I hope you're taking on more staff.
Yeah, it's been a very chaotic 10 days in the office.
Bet.
Yeah. If you want any sort of help on employing people, give us a shout, okay? I know how to get them over here.
Hey, we might need some people, that's for sure.
Well, that's what I was going to say as well, Charlotte, is because I know, within our group, as you know, you're part of that group and we support people moving to New Zealand, but New Zealand has got a very, very, a reputation, let's say, for being extremely difficult to get into compared to moving to other countries. And you will know this because this is your business. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, to get into New Zealand is super hard. So do you think that's going to change New Zealand's, will it still be known as the place that is super hard to get into? Or what do you think it's going to look like from now?
Yeah, this has made it slightly harder, that's for sure. It hasn't made it easier. The other thing they've introduced is that you can, if you don't have a pathway to residency, so for example, if you're a CNC machinist, you can only hold a work visa for a maximum of 5 years, and then you have to leave for at least 12 months. So you have a stand down period before you can come back again. So it is harder, absolutely, or it will be harder. So that I don't think that international reputation will change. I don't think it makes New Zealand any less desirable, though. We're still a great place to live, work, play. We're this tiny little safe nation at the bottom of the world, so to speak.
Yeah,
we're not on anyone's radar internationally. So yeah, I don't change at all. People will still want to move here.
If anything, I think it makes it even, honestly, it's like, when you're not allowed to do something and then you really, really want to do it because you're not allowed. It's like, no, that's the only way I want to do it. It's just, it makes it more desirable because, like, I don't know, it's just, this is my personal opinion of it is, if you go to a country that, it's easy to get in there, it's just like, no, I don't want to go to that one. I want to go to the one that's, really
super
wants
hard.
me,
One that's really hard to get into.
But I think it's good that, they're looking at wages this time, because I know when I came over 15 years ago, they could have paid you $5 an hour, or whatever the minimum wage was. And that's what I was literally, I think I was on $21 an hour, and, I was on the equivalent of $80 an hour when I was in the UK. So it's like, what's the point in coming over?
Yeah,
and that's so. I think this is good that it's like, you've got to be a accredited company and pay them proper money,
Yeah, so even if, for example, let's say you're someone with a PhD and you get a job offer, regardless of what that job offer is, you still have to be paid at least the median wage, which at the moment is $29.66.
Yeah.
That will likely be reviewed at the end of the year. It is reviewed yearly by immigration. So there is still a threshold you have to meet. So yeah, you can't hire a migrant and pay someone $10 an hour. The other thing employers have to do is they have to pay market rate as well. So if you're an electrical engineer and your market rate for that role is, let's say, $55 an hour, you can't pay someone $29.66 because that's not the average for that industry. So they do, that is another threshold basically that does protect people to make sure they're not exploited by employers by underpaying them. And as a whole, it drives up wages in New Zealand as well, which I don't know, the moment might not be good with inflation, but overall I think it is a good thing. Helps Kiwis be paid more as well.
Yeah, then they can spend more. Yeah.
Charlotte, going back to something you just said earlier about if you are married to a Kiwi citizen, because we've come over quite a few of these situations where people, they're married, but they still can't get over, and that's always baffled me. It's like, surely you're allowed, but has that changed? Did you say that has now changed?
It hasn't changed. It's meant to be under review. So at the moment, if you are in a relationship, so you don't have to be married, if you're in a relationship with a New Zealand citizen or resident, you have to be able to prove you've lived together for a minimum of 12 months. So it's things like, have you got a shared rental agreement or do you own property together? Can you prove you've got can you prove you've got correspondence coming to the same address? And it's not that hard to meet, but obviously not everyone has that kind of documentation depending on how you set your lives up. We get clients coming from parts of the Middle East, for example, where women aren't meant to have their name on anything. So in those situations, it can be quite hard. We have a couple who've perhaps lived in Dubai for 10 years, are definitely in a genuine and stable relationship and definitely have been living together, but because of the way that society works, they can't prove it. So it can be hard in those situations. If you're from generally any other country, it's not too bad because you just need to show, whether it's online shopping bills or you've had your new driver's license sent to your home address, whatever it might be, most people will have some form of documentation with their name and address on it.
It is getting harder and harder these days because it's like, you tick the box. I just want emails. I want this, I want that, and it's your address sometimes just isn't on there, is it? Like, I know the banks tend to be, but I know if I have to, I'm setting up a Forex company or something, and it's just like, where's the latest one that's less than 3 months old? It's just so hard.
Yeah, it's true. Charlotte, you are so super helpful. Like I've said before, we absolutely love your company, and I know that everything is on an individual basis. So this is why we did this like news flashy sort of thing, because I know that when we open it up to the group, understandably, people have got like very personal questions. I know that you offer this free consultation to see whether people are eligible to move to New Zealand. Can you just give us your details and let everyone know how they can find you and, where to go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, if you are already in New Zealand and you haven't yet applied for residency or you don't know what your pathway to residency is, if you're worried that this policy change may impact you negatively and you can't apply, or even perhaps you're still eligible, but it's going to mean you have to be here for 3 years before you can apply, reach out now. We do still have time to get your expression of interest in under that current 180 policy. So there's 2 selections happening at that threshold. The next one is the 21st of July and the very last one is the 16th of August. So you still kind of have about 6 weeks to get sorted. If you are really worried about it, definitely email us now for the eligibility assessment, because we can give you that pathway to say, yes, you absolutely have to apply now, or hey, this is what it might look like once that new policy comes in. So feel free to reach out. My email address is charlotte@nzshores.com. Charlotte spelled typical way, CHARLOTTE, or reach out via the Slack group if you're in there. But yeah, absolutely feel free to send through an email. I'd much rather be bombarded with 200 emails and know that perhaps those 200 people didn't end up in a bad predicament than not have people reach out. So
That's
feel free to
fantastic.
get in contact, and we can let you know what that pathway looks like.
Brilliant. And before we let you go, is there anything that we haven't asked you that you need to share that's, anything else that we needed to cover?
I will quickly just cover, so there are two industry-specific pathways to residency as well, which I didn't actually talk about previously. So there is the transport sector, which is a special limited pathway to residency. So there's a number of occupations in there, including truck drivers, bus drivers, ships captains, aviation refuelers. They've basically stood this up as because they know there's a shortage of those people in New Zealand. So that's another pathway that if you perhaps get a job offer as a truck driver, for which there is a massive need in New Zealand at the moment. Kiwi employers love truck drivers from the US and the UK. So that could be a really good option for people if they have experience in that space. Once you've worked in New Zealand in one of those occupations for 2 years, once again, you can apply for residency. That won't be with us forever. So immigration have, quite clearly said that is a limited option. We don't know when it will cease to exist, but it may be in 2 years' time or 4 years' time, but definitely consider that as an option. The other pathway to residency is under the care workforce. So if you come and work in perhaps a rest home as a care worker, or you're perhaps employed by an agency who sends people out into the community to provide care to people, that's another special pathway to residency once you've worked in New Zealand for 2 years. So I guess as a summary, at the moment, we're sitting with the skilled migrant category, which you require 6 points for. The green list, tier 1, you can apply straight to residence. Tier 2, you can work in New Zealand for 2 years and then apply for residence. Then we've got the care workforce special agreement and the transport sector special agreement. So there are some pathways there. And like I said, it can be a case of we just look at your overall situation and then pick out what's going to be the best option.
So if you were a UK truck driver and you were coming over, what sort of wage would you be expecting to get as a truck driver in New Zealand?
They still have to pay you that minimum of $29.66 per hour. So they can't pay you any less. Yeah. I've seen truck drivers all the way up to $35 an hour recently, so it's not bad, not bad for driving trucks. Yeah. But yeah, New Zealand needs you if you are a truck driver, and New Zealand Shores does actually have an employer who's desperate in the South Island for class 4 and 5 drivers. So if that's you and you're from the UK or the US, because that's where they want people from, please reach out.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Happy to hear from you.
This is so exciting. Do you know what? I'm just imagining, I'm thinking, why do Kiwis want American truck drivers to come over? And I'm just imagining like this big, like you see in the films with the honk, honk, like it's just like this big character.
Eddie Stobart guys in England driving down the M4 thinking, maybe the South Island of New Zealand would be pretty cool than driving into London every day.
And you see on the films, like there's these really cool women who drive trucks, like, in America and stuff. And it's just like, they have like this whole life going on driving trucks and stuff. It's just like, oh, that's funny. Anyway, that's just me going off on a tangent. But Charlotte...
It does conjure a certain image, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, I love it. I'm so proud of New Zealand for doing this, because this is fantastic. Because... Why aren't people being brought over? Truck drivers and, all the tradies and things like that. It's just like, this is just so exciting. Yeah. It really is, because it's, I'm really happy about it.
Do you know what the trouble is, Liz? I was talking to someone in the supermarket the other day, and she said, oh, my son, I told him, because, I was at a firewood place, and she said, I can drive tracks and trailers and trucks and everything. She said, I said to my son, you go and get your license straight away. And she said, as soon as he got his license, he moved to Australia because he could get more money. That's not good, is it? And he's in a mine in Perth or something. Running the show or whatever he's doing down there.
Huge money too. On a similar note, I do actually know a lady from the running club I belong to who's just semi-retired, and she just went and got her class 5 license, and now in her semi-retirement she's picked up a driving job 2 days a week, and she's off driving these huge trucks and she's loving it.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Got her office job, and that's it. She's off driving trucks. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, one more time, what's your email address?
Charlotte@nzshores.com.
Charlotte@nzshores.com.
I'll put it underneath.
Yeah, and we'll put it in the links. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday morning, and just filling us in on this exciting news. I know it's going to be welcome to a lot of people, and it's such helpful information.
Yes, and we'll get this into our Slack group, and we'll get it onto our podcast as well, because we've just released your other podcast.
Yep.
The video will be going out in the next sort of 5 or 6 days, and then we'll release this one straight after that as well.
Yes, I've already had some really cool emails from people too. So thank you for those who've reached out already. And I look forward to hearing from more of you.
Fantastic.
Great.
Okay, Charlotte, you have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you
Thanks.
soon.
Have a good
Bye.
week.
Yeah.
See you
Bye.
then. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week. We have loved having you here with us.
If you loved this week's show, please share this with your friends. Send it to anybody you know that wants to think about moving to New Zealand, and get on over here yourself.
And tell them how brilliant it is as well. And also, if you haven't signed up for our free 5-day video guide showing you what life is like, really like, in New Zealand, then go over to the website and sign up. You are missing out. This is brilliant. Go over to www.nzahead/free and we will send you 5 days worth of videos about what life is like in New Zealand. You are going to love it. So one more time, that website that you need to sign up for the free 5-day guide is www.nzahead/free. So we're going to see you next week. Until then, have a great week and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye again. Bye.
Bye.